Mark, the guy that works at my comic book shop. I bought him a
Cool.
ticket. Went. Yeah.
Very
He and
cool.
he and I are the two that have the John Carpenter nights. You know.
Yeah.
I went all by myself because yes,
Yeah.
my wife is in the same
'Cause
position.
you're a big boy.
She's
Do you
not.
see how
She's
lucky
not
you are,
watching a
Gerry?
horror movie. There's no way you can make her watch a horror movie.
I don't go to
Yeah.
movies by myself.
You're a lucky
just
guy,
don't do it.
Gerry, to have me. The shit I do for you, really.
I know. I'm very thankful for you. And with that said,
this is how it is today on Pop Culture Minefield. This is how it is today. This is how it is today on Pop Culture Minefield.
good morning, everybody. It is Monday, which is the day that follows Sunday. And yeah, I'm not excited. It's Monday.
Which is the name that the Croatians have for that day, by the way.
What
Day
is?
after Sunday.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
Yep.
So, Croatians. I remember when you used to live in that third world country.
I miss it.
You miss that third world country.
I miss having the sea so close and how laid back the people are there.
Oh man. I'm reading the comments right now. We got Glenn Fleming saying, let's go. Emmanuel is here. She's saying, hi, beautiful people. Ricardo Montalban rocks his story before being exiled to SETI Alpha 5. Yeah.
This is SETI Alpha 5!
Yeah, how on God's green earth did they mistake that? They've got fucking charts to
on,
measure.
You would
You know.
think the orbit stays about the same. It's a solar system, you know. They might be able
They
to.
think it's SETI Alpha 6, and no, it's SETI Alpha 5. But how do you not know that? And I think that's what pissed him off so much.
What
How
I
do
want
you
to know,
fucking not know that?
what I want to know, besides the obvious, they didn't give science fiction movies Academy Award nods back then, except for special effects. But how did Ricardo Montalban not get nominated for an Academy Award for that part?
No, I wholly agree with you. So, well, we got a happy birthday coming up on Wednesday with our good friend Glenn Fleming. He's turning 1,000,000,006 years old. Happy
I
birthday,
think you
Glenn.
confused that with your birthday, Gerry. I hope
No
Levin
laughter.
Alpha shows up. Because he suggested we do this movie.
Right?
There
It
he
would
is.
suck if
Yeah,
we
there
didn't.
he is. There he is.
Speak of the devil.
He's here.
Then all is right with the world. Yes.
I'm not far off, he says. There you go.
Not going to have my show this afternoon, Gary, because my brother has the possibility of sitting on a murder trial jury. He's in the middle of jury duty, and there's a possibility he could be sitting, and he's excited about it. When he found out there was a murder trial, whoa, you know?
I love things that end in duty.
Yeah, duty. He's got duty.
I get my duty. So,
My civic duty.
it is Monday. We are live. Man. I'm still not quite awake. I'm in pain. I wrenched my
Oh.
back last week and went to the
Not
grocery
good for a
store.
big man.
There was some black ice black guys. There were some black guys.
Oh,
And as
worst.
I'm walking, and some bitch, some Karen, took the handicap spot. No placard, nothing, just parked there because it was convenient right there at the door. And I knew who it was. It was this rotund lady with purple hair, done up almost in a bun. And she's standing there scowling at the cashier. And I'm just like, I'm talking to the manager. I'm narking. I'm like, you've got somebody parked in the handicap spot out there. I'm handicapped and I have to go further down. And it's why I got hurt. Because as I'm walking across that parking lot to get back to my car, there was a patch of black ice I couldn't see. And I slipped only about 5 inches at most, I think, because my foot slipped and I caught my balance with my cane. I had one arm full of grocery bags and the other one with my cane. But I went, like they said in the movie JFK, back into the left.
Back into the left. Yes.
And I went arched backwards and I felt like a fire flash in my back when it happened. And then I caught my balance and stood up and then I went, okay, that's not good what I just felt. I know what that was. I've had that happen before. I had pinched the shit out of or pulled the muscle in my back and I wasn't sure which one. So I was sore that night, but when I got up in the morning, I had trouble getting up. Yeah. It was so bad. And I'm still having trouble every day. It's right when I get up, it's like sharp stabbing pain. So I just took the ibuprofen and hoping that, because I asked the doctor for a muscle relaxant. And I said, sure, I see him. We're snowed in. And he says, well, I have to see you. And I'm like, the only reason you have to see me is to look me in the eye for me to tell you that I'm in serious pain and I need a muscle relaxant. And I'm not just jonesing for a painkiller. And I've never asked for a painkiller before. So as your patient, because I am your patient, you've seen me many times and you know how honest I am about things.
He also knows you're in chronic pain and go on ibuprofen all the time. So.
And she ends the sentence with, I still have to see you. And I understand that she's saying, I have to see you by law to prescribe that for you.
Exactly.
I can get
that sucks. Well,
and I'm just sitting there going, then I said, well, when can I see you? Can I come in tomorrow? No. The earliest thing I've got is in 2 fucking weeks.
And that's ridiculous.
And I just went, this is the most pointless conversation I've ever had with a doctor. And I was just frustrated by it. And I'm not asking for a painkiller. I'm not asking for a painkiller. I'm asking for a Class C muscle relaxant, like the weakest one they've got. Just something to help me get through it. It's just like when I asked for ivermectin, they wouldn't give me ivermectin. They said that the FDA is threatening to pull doctors' licenses if they are found to have given ivermectin.
They're finding out it does more than just take care of COVID.
Well, it's because the FDA is all behind the pharmaceutical companies doing this shit.
Oh yeah,
it's all about money.
Did you see Joe Rogan's interview?
I'm telling you, investigations should be put out about this, that doctors have been threatened if they gave ivermectin.
Oh yeah.
And doctors have lost their license over it.
Did you see the Joe Rogan interview with Mel Gibson?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I also saw his interview with on Fox News with Dana Perino. Or no, not Dana Perino. What's her name? Former radio personality. I dig her. She's so cool. Can't think of her name. No, she's on at night. Anyway, yeah, he went on about cancer, and he talked about the coif. He also went on and talked about other things with Joe Rogan, and then he went on that show on Fox and tore the shit out of Newsom.
Oh yeah, told him to stop by.
So you have any last thing? Any last words of advice for Newsom? Yeah, stop spending so much money on hair gel.
It's too funny, man. Yeah,
I love Mel.
it's sad. It's sad. These doctors are bound by laws that basically are constraining them from doing what they know will work, and it's just it's shame.
This is, I'm sorry, this is my problem with the fucking VA and why I'm glad I don't use them. That right there. I tell people all the time, you want socialized medicine in America, look at what goes on with the VA. And also look at the national health system over in Britain as well as what they have in Canada.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have this extremely long wait. And it's a complaint. They did a poll back in 2006 in the UK. They sent the polls at home, and then they set up polling station outside of the clinics and hospitals. And what they found in that poll is that 65% of Britons hate the national health system when they were polled at home. And then when they were polled coming out of their appointments, it was the other way around. It was 65% pro.
Yeah, because they just
It's
got
like-
served finally.
Because they just got seen.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. It's like, well, that tells you everything you need to know. Because the poll you need to pay attention to is the one that was done at home. But they were trying to, the British were trying to say, well, look at how satisfied they are. It's like, that's not the important one. The important one is the one here. Because that's telling you something. So, and what does that mean? I'm not sure what that means, Andy.
You're saying hello?
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. Hello. It looks almost like a shout out. I don't know.
It's a hand and reptile's head.
That's right. You can cross the border into the United States. And that's a lot of them that do it. It's like, I remember when Michael Moore tried to say that medicine was better in Cuba. And I said, that's interesting. I noticed that nobody is trying to go to Cuba. They keep coming here. They keep coming here. So, Michael Moore. Yeah, that guy's an idiot. So, anyway, let's get on to this because I do want to talk about this film.
Yes, educate me about this great movie that 11 Alpha wanted us to watch.
Well, it is a great film. It really is. And in fact, I talked to Dale and Julia over the weekend. And I said, I am curious, because I've never asked this, if how they made this film is what inspired Dale to do what he did. And he said, even though he knows the movie, he was actually unaware of how they did this movie. And they did this movie the exact same way that he does it, which he sets up a basic training camp. And they do basically a 2-week version of basic training. And what all they do is they focus on the actual military stuff. They don't do all the classes or the lanes. They just go through
CPR, all that stuff. They
don't need to learn all that stuff. They need to learn this other stuff, how to handle a weapon.
I doubt they even do the basic drill stuff either. I doubt they.
Well, they did for this movie. They did for this movie. They put them through an intense training session that taught them how to handle their weapons, how to move like a soldier, and also they went through the process of teaching them D&C. And they learned
that's what I was
what I refer to as fancy D&C.
Yeah.
Which at the time they had the black units there in France in World War II that were learning those kinds of marches. They were getting like really fucking cool fucking moves. The ones where they separate you out into 3 columns and then you do a reverse. And
I was on
pull it
drill
all
team
together.
for 4 years, man. Yeah,
It was fun shit, man. I loved D&C because I did marching band, and I'm like going, I'm into this,
basically
man.
the same concepts, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And some of the stuff we learned early on in Boot was because of Julio, my buddy. He was our platoon guide, and he's basically the representation of a platoon sergeant, is why they're called the platoon guide. And he got, just like I did as a squad leader, you get the black band with a sergeant rank on it, and showing that you're in charge. It's like a tech sergeant, you're not really a sergeant. You just have some of the responsibility of a sergeant.
It's a battlefield commission.
And I told him when he said it, he says, "Yeah, man, I was ROTC, man, all the way, man." I said, "Julio, don't talk about that here.
Don't be
They will
broadcasting
fucking
that. Yeah.
mock the fuck out of you if you do that. They will fucking, the permanent party people here, all of our senior cadre, they will fuck with you over that. Don't ever admit it." And but he was the one that was in charge of teaching us a lot of the DNC moves and for basic. And he taught some of the fancy stuff, and they would fucking use it on us. They would have us do that shit. And we looked the best on the parade ground at graduation.
Yep.
We
I
were,
never was in a leadership
Charlie
position in boot, but when people ask me how I got my rank, that I'd tell them that. I wouldn't lie about it. But I never was, like I said, in a leadership position. But what I did contribute was the Jodies. I'd sing the Jodies I knew, and nobody else knew. It was pretty. My favorite one was Irene.
Yeah, I knew the Jodies because of my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Irene's a great one. Any blues song can become a cadence. Early Morning Rain is a good example of that. But one of my favorites was, and I got in trouble for it because I did it. Eskimo Pussy's Mighty Cold. I don't know, but I've been told. I don't know, but I've been told. Eskimo Pussy's mighty cold.
Mighty cold.
Eskimo Pussy's mighty cold. Sound off 1, 2. Sound off 3, 4. Break it on down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go back and count some more.
Yep.
And I was no longer allowed to do cadence anymore after I did the mock version of the Airborne Ranger. Because
man, there's a
Cowboy,
here.
the guy, we had a guy named Cowboy in our platoon, and love that guy, little Texan boy. He's like, "I want to be Airborne Ranger, but I also want to be a plumber because that'll be my MOS." I said, "So you want to be an airborne plumber?" I think I could work with that. I made up a cadence for him.
Oh my God.
First opportunity to do it, and then they never called on me to do cadence again. Even the drill sergeants were laughing at him.
Damn, Glenn is getting
This
impatient.
movie. That's too bad, Glenn.
It's what happens when you get military guys
if
together.
I were
We
to
talk
tell
shit.
you, here's what I'll tell you, Glenn. I will get to it when you fix your fucking country. I feel bad for you guys, man. It's bad over there in the UK. Green tracers overhead. How I wish they were red, because green tracers make you dead in the early morning rain. Yeah, buddy. We had this guy named Truesdale. He was a big, burly black dude, and he had one of those deep Southern voices, and he would sing that thing. And I mean, he would fucking sing it. And we wanted him to do every cadence in the morning, and we would get all when he wouldn't get called on to do cadence, and they would call some other idiot that had no voice, like me. But so these guys were put through that training, and you could see it in the film. It's incredible how they handle their weapons, and this is the first film that really showed realistic reloads, where you see a soldier empty his weapon and have to reload. And there's a moment where one guy, his fucking bandolier with his ammo in it, it's a cloth. It's like the ones you have on your belt, but they're on a cloth strap that you tie around you.
Right.
And he goes, and he can't open it because it's frozen.
Oh.
And he can't get to his ammo. And the guy sees he's having a problem and bounces up towards him, low crawling, and hands him some ammo. And he loads his weapon. But he ends up getting smoked. It doesn't get killed, but he gets smoked. He gets hit, and he's out of action. A lot of people, and I thought this was fairly realistic in the way people get shot. Not overly dramatic. Guys just sort of like get hit and they hesitate and then they fall. Whereas in real life, it's more like those little, remember those puppets you used to have? The Mickey, I had Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Minnie Mouse and Donald Duck. And you push the bottom button and they had string in them. And when you pushed it, they would go slack, and then you'd let go of the button. And that's what a human looks like when they get hit. And it doesn't happen to every guy, but a lot of the time when a guy gets hit, their entire system just sort of, central nervous system just shuts down, and they just
the
drop,
shock makes them go limp. Yeah.
Yeah, just because people don't understand that. A lot of the times it's not the bullet wound that kills you, it's the shock from being shot that kills you. There are two forms of shock: psychogenic shock and hypovolemic shock that kills the wounded. We had a former DI in OCS who could call cadence until he used a few cadences that had been banned, like McDonald's Massacre. Holy shit. I don't even know that one, dude. I'm assuming that came out after I was in, because that McDonald's Massacre was pretty late.
Send that to us on X.
90s.
Yeah.
Bastogne must be taken, otherwise it will remain an abscess in the lines. And
Wait,
that's, of course, the head of the 47th Panzer.
Okay.
What?
Right there.
I'm getting back to it, so
There
I
it
can
is.
post it. Okay,
Oh.
there you go.
Yeah, but Bastogne must be taken, otherwise it will remain an abscess on our lines of communication. I should have Anima read this.
You know, now you have to try and pronounce the name of the dude who said that.
General Heinrich von Lutwitz.
Almost, not bad. Heinrich von Lutwitz.
Yep. So 47 Panzer Corps. And he's the guy that they're up against in this battle. The battered bastards of Bastogne. And the real funny part of this is in the movie, they finally get some newspapers from back home, and they keep hearing this Battle of the Bulge thing, the Bulge, and they don't know what the fuck that is. They're in it. They don't know that it's called the Battle of the Bulge.
One of the guys asked her, what's the bulge? And another one says, search me.
I don't know. They're right in the middle of that battle and they're not told anything. And that's another joke in the film, is that the folks at home know more about what we're doing here than we do. And this is where you get to see some of the DNC. I want to point out some of the actors in it. Oh, this is funny, because what he's asking here, and they don't explain it in the film, but any GI fucking knows what's going on here. He's asking for the phone number of a girl who will put out when he gets to Paris. That's what that phone number is for. So, and then James Whitmore, who is a decorated Marine from World War II. And by the way, is bow-legged. He's been bow-legged since he was young, because he rode horses. He worked on the range, and you can see how he's bow-legged there. And it becomes more pronounced as he begins limping in the film from his condition. And he based his character's look off of the old G.I. Joe comic strips by Ernie Pyle. If anybody remembers, this kid here, this was kind of one of the last things he did. He just sort of disappeared from acting. And the guy on the left there, actually technically the right because it's reversed, is the guy who ended up on television for the most part. Yeah,
I recognize him. Yeah.
You got some really good actors in this film. You've got Leon Ames, who plays the chaplain in this film. That guy is a prolific actor. Hitchcock has used him. Just always plays strong and interesting, like dad or teacher type characters. So the guy's in charge. He has that natural look of leadership to him. You've got James Whitmore, who is an actual World War II veteran. Actually, 3/4 of the cast are World War II veterans. Richard Jekyll also served. He's in the film. You've got Herbert Anderson, who you guys don't know that name, but he played the dad on the Dennis the Menace TV series. So I knew him as Dennis the Menace's dad, Mr. Mitchell. He's the one who gets smoked later in the film. He survives. But this, by the way, this is not a biography of these guys. This is a fictional account that pretty much it encompasses what happened there. And they just use fictional characters that are loosely based on real people or multiple people.
That service cap is the worst. God almighty. Ugh. Put a helmet on, fella. Put a helmet on. I hate those things.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of the times in this film, you'll see these guys, like while they're doing DNC, they're not actually wearing their full M1 helmet. They're wearing their helmet liners. Mm-hmm. This guy actually served in the Navy during World War II and got injured during combat, and it knocked his teeth out. So he actually has false teeth. But and it ends up being written into the story that he fell and got hit by the butt of his rifle, and it knocked his teeth out in the story. This is your typical new guy. 11 Alpha knows what I'm talking about. New guys, they tend to get treated like shit for a bit, ignored for the most part, and they show kind of what happens here. At the end of the scene, he's left standing in the dark. He has no place to lie down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what happened? You don't get to find out. It goes to the next morning. Van Johnson is one of the guys in here who never served a day in his life. He's a very good actor. He is. But if you go look up his military service, you will see where it says, oh, well, he was in an automobile accident that damn near decapitated him. It really did. It almost cut his head off. And it crushed his skull. And his scars, you can actually see his scars in this movie. He has two major scars on his forehead. You see it right there, that dimple? That's one of the scars. And by the way, that's Ricardo Montalban with the cigarette in his mouth. He never served either, but then again, he was a Mexican national. He didn't have to serve, but he's a very good actor. But anyway, so Van Johnson, what ended up happening with him is right, and he tried to use that through his publicist, and you'll find that all over the internet. You won't find what really happened because the math doesn't add up. That accident took place over a year after Pearl Harbor. It happened in 1943. He, on the other hand, went to the War Department and filed that he was a homosexual. And so therefore he couldn't serve because according to the military at that point, homosexuality was a mental illness or mental disorder. And they would consider it, medical, you're medically not fit to serve. If you
medically
admit you're medically unfit if you admit you're gay. So this lasted a long time in the military. But when he had the accident, he tried to get his publicist through the studio to have that changed. And that's why you'll find that falsehood that says that he didn't serve because he was medically not able to because of the injuries he achieved in 1943. But the fact is, he was actually called up in 1942. And because all those records were destroyed in the big fire in St. Louis back in 50-something, a lot of war records were lost.
Yeah.
And
still keep them in St. Louis, don't they? You got to get your DD-214 from there, don't you?
Uh-huh. But like,
Louis.
if you go to look for information about my grandfather, very little is like in there. I got everything they had. All that stuff was destroyed. It also broke my dad's heart because he wanted more information on, because my grandfather had several awards. Well, the records of those awards aren't there anymore. Even though on his final processing paper, it mentions that he was awarded the Croix de Guerre for combat in World War I.
My grandfather was at at the Battle of the Bulge. Joe Senior. Yeah, he was a tanker.
Yeah, this is something that they make fun of in here because early on in the military, especially the Army, they were constantly telling you tear off your patch and then later sew it back on and then tear it off again because they didn't want to be identified. Because basically, the 101st Airborne and 82nd Airborne were shock troops, the U.S.'s shock troops, which is what pissed off so many of the men that served in the Airborne when they ended up in Bastogne, because they were being treated like regular frontline troops than what they were being, trained to do. And it frustrated them. Like, why aren't they bringing someone else to do this and get us back to do what we're supposed to do? And that's mentioned in the film. This film came out in 1949. It was a few years after the war ended. And this is the first film to depict soldiers the way they really were, even though they still had to G this stuff up because, they're not in the scene where he comes bursting into the tent. He yells, "Get off your cots, pick up or put on your socks." That's not what was said.
No.
It's drop your cocks, put on your socks.
Yeah, so drop your cocks and grab your socks. Yeah.
That's right. And they do keep one thing in here because it's historical.
The bitching
And they fought over it for the censorship of the word nuts.
Oh.
Because that's what the general said. It's like, surrender, nuts. And so it got repeated back to the Germans, and it's one of my favorite moments in the film.
That was a funny moment. I like the bitching that they do all the time.
Oh, and I love that banner that on the side of the truck. One of the soldiers. It's because I was talking. What? What?
What about what? Go on.
I think you're having a serious delay. Gerry.
Anima said, "I'm not listening."
I didn't say that.
No, she didn't.
No, you've got something going on. I've seen you break up a couple of times, buddy.
Yeah.
You've got something going on over there.
Yeah, Goebbels ordered his troops to execute all Allied paratroopers upon capture. It's the same thing with the SAS. Yeah, the SAS had a kill on sight. They are not allowed to surrender. And there he is. That's the actor that played Dennis Mitchell's dad.
Be off his nut. They like the word nut in this movie for some reason.
So there was the banner on the side of the truck, and one of the guys is told to pull the banner down because it identifies the truck. Also makes the truck a target. And they also make fun of guys that have their rank on their helmets in this. This was her first American film. French actress. That's Richard Jekyll, the young guy in the front there. There's Van Johnson. He was a musical comedy guy. And he wanted this part so badly because he wanted to get rid of that reputation he had. But the other reputation he would get that destroyed his career was because he was an asshole in real life and difficult to work with. Now, the one guy you see who's their platoon leader is a guy by the name of Hodiak. He was a big actor. John Hodiak plays Jarvis in this. And he's I think he's probably one of the best characters in this film.
Dude, in so many scenes, he reminds me of Neil MacDonald in Band of Brothers. His face.
Yeah.
Reminds.
Yeah.
What is the
and by the way,
stand for?
And a minor part in this film is a gentleman by the name of James Arness. Now, this is not his first film. He'd been working for a bit. But James Arness, man, he was a real deal. He was wounded in combat at Anzio. And it was so bad that they had to ship him back to the States for surgery to just save his leg. And he was shot in the gluteus maximus, the upper section of he was laying down under fire. And a bullet went through his glute, down through his leg. And it led to him having that limp that he's known for in Gunsmoke. That became even more pronounced as he got older. I mean, when you start watching him after he hit his 60s, oh my God,
yeah.
he limped.
He was hobbling around. Yeah.
He had so much trouble. And what they found out, and he loved doing Westerns so much and loved playing Matt Dillon so much that he wouldn't give it up, but it was riding in the saddle that was doing the damage.
Yeah. Imagine.
And it just made it worse and worse as years went on. That's
my
Hodiak
favorite
right
movie
there.
with him and James Whitmore is Them. That's my favorite movie. That they're in.
And James Whitmore has the heroic death in that film trying to save
Yes, he does.
kids.
Yes, he does.
He gets him into the pipe, and right when he gets him in there, one of the ants grabs him and pinches him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's like, oh, got him in the hips. Oh, he's gonna die.
He's done. Oh. Great movie. Great movie. But I didn't know James Arness was in this, man. When you said he got shot in the butt, I figured they were shooting, head high, and he got shot in the butt because of how tall he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He really started playing movie monsters. After this, he played. He was the monster in
51.
The Thing from
1951. 1951.
Yep.
James Arness played the Thing in Thing from Another World.
Yep.
That's a tall guy, my friend.
And
dude.
you can see both scars in this scene with his forehead, and he didn't hide it in this one because he thought that it would add to the character.
Yeah.
Now this table scene cracks me up because there are already two guys laying on this table, and when she leaves and he comes back, he sees there's no place to lie down, so he tries to get the guy, keeps tapping him on the shoulder to get him to move over, and finally he climbs up on the table and nudges him over even further, and the other guy on the other end of the table gets pushed off into a cradle.
It just
doesn't wake up.
on.
He's still sleeping. He just sleeps right through it.
What makes it even funnier is when he comes in and sees them on the table, he complains that they need to be 18 inches apart to not spread disease. And then he's like, I'm gonna get in there. Nothing else to lie down.
The other character that I like so much in this is Pops, the sergeant that he has discharged hours before going to the front, and he spent the rest of the movie telling that I'm a civilian.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a civilian, and when he gets a Luger, the guy says, civilians can't have guns. He goes, oh, spit. So, also, James Whitmore really played up the chewing tobacco. He would get big golf ball sized balls of tobacco in his cheek. And it was just so disgusting. But I've met farmers that do that. Big old fucking farmers love
looking
their fucking
like
big
Popeye
wads
the
of
Sailor
tobacco.
Man. Yeah.
Yep. And he's spitting all the time. And that's what I remember in the Army, because you weren't allowed to smoke at the barracks. So all these smokers are fucking chewing all the time. And in the film, he gets a cigar and chews the cigar. Puts it in his cheek.
That's so gross.
Yeah, but that's what they would do. So I love all these characters. They did such a good job of writing this screenplay. And I guess I should get into, who wrote this. It was written by Robert Peroche, who served. And he wanted to write about some of the guys that he knew. And so he began writing about, he wasn't even sure if he wanted to write about the 101st, but he wanted to write about Bastogne. And if you start writing about Bastogne, you're going to have to bring in the 101st. Because they're really the guys that held that fucking line with nothing. They weren't able to be resupplied because of the fog. There was a constant fog that lasted forever. And it leads to one of the most interesting moments in the film, which I did make videos for those, by the way. I don't know if I don't think I uploaded them. So get ready for my audio to get punched out because I'm going to
turn off your camera then. It helps. And it helps our eyes too.
Yeah, but I got to go back in.
Especially when he's on my avatar.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how I came in here before you. Fucking avatar.
I didn't have to change it. I came in, I switched off my camera, and then I had my avatar. I guess you never switched it back to yours. Stop blaming me.
Right.
Blame you all I fucking want.
Wait till you are officially married, please.
Right?
Nothing's going to change much except I'll be slapping distance again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Avatar
all that's
time.
going to happen is she'll be able to hit me for all the shit that I say.
Right? The backhands will commence. Yes.
I have to make sure I even
So,
compress
welcome to the Muppet Show.
Yeah, now we're in the Muppet Show.
Wacka, wacka, wacka! Kermie.
What did you put in your coffee this morning? I want some.
I'm not drinking any coffee.
He's delirious from back pain. Don't worry about him. He's all right. He'll be all right.
I know. It took me 2 weeks to get back from that. I lifted a printer at work a week before I flew over to America. I pulled a muscle. It was
at
terrible.
our age, you can just sneeze and throw your back out. It's ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. I rolled the wrong way in bed and fucked my neck one night.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
At our age,
True.
the only thing you need to bust your back is a bad chair. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to tell you, the only thing that's been, gotten me through this is Lauren gave me that. It's a full length massager and heating pad, and it covers my entire chair. And I'm telling you, by nighttime, I feel so good. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go to bed. I feel great. I wake up the next morning like, oh, fuck.
Waking up is always the hardest when you're injured. That's when
I get rid of it at night, and then it finds me again by morning.
That thing is amazing. She gave that to me too. It really helps.
Yeah, I haven't compressed them yet, so I got to compress them now so I can show those video clips. But going back into the making of this, nobody wanted to make the fucking movie.
No, because
the studios were like,
the war just ended. They thought people would
hold on. The studios were just so relieved the war was over that they just wanted to go do comedies and musicals. That's all they wanted to do. Louis B. Mayer was the guy that ended up being behind this. And he didn't want to make this fucking movie. So I forgot his name, the executive producer on this, the co-head of MGM, is the one who pushed for this. Now, here's the ironic part. Louis B. Mayer is a diehard conservative, whereas the guy that pushed this movie was a typical Hollywood liberal. And he's wanting this fucking war movie. And I found that funny.
Yeah.
That the diehard conservatives wanted to just look the other way and stop talking about the war.
Well, look at it. I mean, the war ended in 1945. It's only 4 years later. Typically it's almost a decade before they start making films about conflicts. I mean, they tend to, think it's too soon. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Gerry?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just having the roughest time getting this going. And I'm going to look up the guy's name because I forget his name. He was the other head of Warner right under Louis B. Mayer. And Louis B. Mayer began to regret hiring this guy. Dory Sherry is his name. And Dory was the second head of MGM. And so Louis found himself really in a pickle. But then he hit a point where he got so sick of Dory that he thought, I'm going to go ahead and let him make this fucking movie, let him fail.
Right.
And then I can fire him.
Right.
Use that as the excuse to fire him. And of course, the movie was a hit.
Yeah, right.
And it blew up in his face. But at the same time, he made money. So what's he going to do?
How can you bitch? Right.
Now, I paused it here for a reason, because there's nothing worse than being given the order to dig a hole in the military. Because your biggest fear is not digging that hole, but digging that hole and then being told we're moving out.
Yeah.
Right after you dig the fucking hole. And that's what kept happening to him here. They were digging these fucking foxholes, which, I don't remember I don't know if you remember what they're referred to as this. It was called 6 by 6 by very deep.
Yes.
And that was the measurement that was given to you. 6 by 6 by very deep.
That's it.
And
they didn't have the best equipment. The ground is full of roots.
The entrenching tool they had was
entrenching
terrible.
tool is the worst thing to dig a hole with. Yeah. Oh my God.
Worse than that soil there was just pock full of rocks. Not tiny rocks, but big fucking rocks. And they show that they're having trouble digging these holes.
But also it's winter, so the ground is frozen.
Well, it's not quite, it's fall at this point. It's getting ready to be winter. And that's what leads to one of my favorite moments with Ricardo Montalban, because his character had never seen snow before. He's always seen it in the mountains. He's never seen it in person. And he gets so excited by the snow that he starts running around, sliding and shit in the snow. There's a fucking war going on. And he's just like a little kid in that scene. I love that scene.
Yeah,
but I paused for that reason.
One of the other guys tells him, yeah, you did realize it's cold and wet eventually, right? So I'm so excited.
Yeah, when he's done running around, he'll figure it out. He won't be as excited anymore. The adrenaline will calm down, and he'll be like,
it's not a good
more
thing
cold
to
than
have
anybody.
snow. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So Anna was also impressed with some of the guys that speak German, even the guys that speak it without an accent.
Nobody speaks German without an accent, Gary. No, but the American soldier, he does.
Oh, the Americans speak with American accents.
The American soldier who speaks German does very well, and they use German.
Yeah, but he doesn't have an accent when he does it.
He
has a
sounds
Midwestern.
American. He sounds like an American speaking German.
Yep.
So that's accent for me.
This is funny too, because he keeps getting fucked over. He has those eggs in his helmet, and a lot of people don't know that the old M1 helmet allowed you to do many things. You could shave with it, with water. You could bathe out of it. You could cook in it. It was an all useful tool. But here's the moment where the guy walks up and kicks his fucking fire. Put that fire out. I'm like, it's fucking daytime. It's not night. Because like Anima noticed that the guy doesn't cup the cigarette when he's smoking. I said he didn't have to. It's during the day. Also, see that black guy in the background there? He is actually from the American unit. The kind of thing you get confused by here is you'll see a black guy intermixed with these guys. And in reality, he is actually in one of the three field groups, because the U.S. military was segregated thanks to Woodrow Wilson. He's the one, because they had desegregated the military before World War I. And when he became president, he resegregated it. Because he's a racist. I mean, he was a big time fucking supporter of the KKK. And he was a Democrat, by the way. I don't want to say that too loud.
I was fixing to say that side was kind of,
But the other thing they deal with in this film that I think they do a fantastic job with is the infiltration of Germans pretending to be Americans. And they show it happen twice.
The spies?
Oh, I like this. That if something happens to me, will you call California for me to let my family know? He goes, yeah, there'll be about 200 francs. Call there.
Wow.
You can owe me for it. I just fucking love that. And the other thing they show in this film that had never been shown before, soldiers complaining.
All the time. I love it.
That's a must, isn't it? Come
Yes, I've said in my life, I've met two groups of people who compete for being the biggest bitches on the planet. And that was U.S. Army soldiers and truckers in the United States.
True.
Over the road truckers.
My
Absolutely.
favorite
Because-
scene for the complaints is when he says, yeah, there are people somewhere just flying around in planes looking for the most unlivable places, and that's
You know
why
what's
they
funny
put the
about
American
that?
flag and call it a base camp.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? That's two of the toughest folks in the world too. You know.
Oh, yeah. But man, they do bitch. They
Do
complain
bitch.
about
Yes, they do.
every fucking thing in the world.
Because they both
Man.
look, they both do this. Hurry up and wait. That's
Yeah.
what
Yep.
both of them do for a living. Yeah.
You got to get to this point. You get there and it's like nothing is ready.
Yep. Just wait here. We'll get back to you. Shit. That's the Army way, isn't it, Gear? Hurry up and wait.
Yep.
I mean, these
And they were
guys are
ill-equipped
just
for the
left
cold.
alone. Yeah.
These guys were ill-equipped for the winter that was coming.
Like they say, the rest of the world is more informed than they are. And they're in the middle of it. With nothing. No supplies. They have every right to bitch.
Oh, absolutely. You're dead if you're not bitching in the military.
That's it. Oh.
Son of a bitch. I went to the wrong folder. Trying to upload these files. So please keep talking, guys.
Yeah.
There's the snow. I love it when the one guy wakes up and he has this cloth over his face and he pulls it down, sees the snow, gets very annoyed, and just goes back to sleep.
These did not compress. I got a problem.
You know, half of the guys that are serving from the U.S. are from southern climates, south of the Mason-Dixon line. So yeah, they're going to be bitching. They've never seen this
Look,
shit
here,
before.
here's the scene with Ricardo Montalban and the snow,
Yeah.
like a
Mhm.
little kid.
Yep.
He turns into a little kid with the snow, yeah.
Obviously from
I-
the south. Yeah.
I saw snow for the first time at the age of 18, and I liked it for about 2 or 3 minutes.
I still love it to this day, man.
Yeah, the
grew
minute
up
your
with
hands
snow.
start hurting and your toes start hurting, you kind of go, "Oh, I'm going to go
Oh,
back
oh.
inside."
I'm gonna
Well,
go back
I
inside and heat up.
wasn't using even winter clothes. My clothes were permeable. So when the melt it started to melt, all my clothes were soaked wet in
Yeah.
very cold water. I
Yeah,
didn't
You
like
have
I'm
it.
got
from a
to have-
family. I'm from a family who loves skiing. So from a very young age on, I had to go skiing every fucking winter. I hated it.
I love the snow, but you have to have the right gear to be in it, no doubt. You have to. You have to good.
I was terrible at skiing.
I was too.
Never skied in my
Next
I'll
life.
tell you what I did well at. Have any of you guys ever tried cross country skiing?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
It is completely different form of skiing. It's almost like skating on snow, and you do
Mhm.
longer strides. Man, I'm telling you, I was sore after doing it, but by God, I enjoyed the crap out of cross country skiing. And I thought this is something I would like to try to do in competitive sports. But my dad didn't want to pay for it, so that never happened.
Hey, Sax is in the house.
Yeah, I said good morning.
Stax is in the house.
Our good friend from the north. He's seen a little snow, just a little bit.
Hey, I want to remind everybody he lost his dog, and
Oh.
it's a member of the family. Our hearts go out to you, buddy. We know what that's like, man.
Bummer.
I'm so
Yes,
sorry
we
to
do.
hear
I've
that, Zach.
they're like your children. They're like a sibling, and they're your best friend. And people don't understand when somebody loses a dog or a cat, it's like losing family, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
God love you, Zax. I know we love you.
And we love you so much that
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
We love you so much. What?
He played the Kyle video.
Oh, I never saw it. It didn't play for me.
What's wrong with your internet today?
Well, I'm uploading the videos right now.
If you guys have never seen his Wednesday show, you got to
I
check
grew
it
up in the Midwest, motherfucker. I lived in the fucking snow. Winter goes longer in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Same with upstate New York and shit. Winters last longer.
My mother is
They
from
come
Maine.
early
My dad's
and-
from Massachusetts. Yeah, it's like half the year. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It
Oh,
really feels like
die.
half the year it's fucking snowy. I love it, man. And my problem with the Midwest, though, is I grew up in Virginia, and the winters didn't bite like they do here in Missouri, because the humidity, the moisture count in the air, makes the cold hurt your knuckles and shit and your skin.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
bites. Your face hurts out in it.
Yep. Mhm. My mother, I talked to her yesterday, and her complaint when I talked to her was the guy that clears the road took out her mailbox this time around, so she got to get a new mailbox. Yeah.
Well, it didn't upload.
It'd be all right, Gary. They're having fun listening to you talk anyway.
Cross-country skiing gear was on my special forces group's table of allowances. Wow. Along with all this. Well, yeah, because you guys can end up in some very northern areas. Along with all the snivel gear for operating in northern Norway. Yeah. Those FTXs were fun. I bet they were.
Imagine
Bet you had a
snowshoes
blast
is
on
incorporated in that too.
And by the way, we finished watching that series Conflict, and 11 Alpha. I highly recommend you check that series out because they have two Americans in that group in the thing, and for an excuse for speaking in English in the show. But there are two Americans. Once I know is airborne special forces, and I really like the show. I know my problem with the show, and Anima got it too, is that Finland is one of the largest European supporters of what's going on in that country that starts with a U and a K. And we can't say it on YouTube because they'll penalize us even more. But they put over $3 billion from Finland into that war. So we know where they stand. So in the show, of course, the Ruskies are the bad guys. But I got to be honest, as an American, I don't mind, because I grew up not fucking liking the Russians, and some of the Russians I've met in my real life.
Ever.
I played in a band with a Russian, and I fucking wanted to kick his ass all the time. And I chased him down the street once, but he was fast. He was like a rabbit, dude. I'm like, dude, I'm fast in a straight line. I can't do that back and forth shit because I'm big, but I'm like a juggernaut. I start moving and chugging. And I remember my stepdaughter took off running from me one time after doing something that was fun. It was funny what she did to fuck with me. And I went after her, and she took off running, and then she started to slow down and then turned around and saw that I was right on her. And she screamed. It was so funny. She's like, "Oh my God, you're fast." And I went, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, I'll never trust the Russians ever.
I'm fast in a hell yeah.
Of course, I served at the end of the Soviet Union. When Ronnie Reagan.
The Cold War.
Yeah, when Ronnie Reagan.
Yeah, I came in right after the end.
Right after the wall fell. Yeah, I was in before. And look, yeah, I will never trust the Russians, especially having an ex-KGB guy running the country.
Joe, you went full Kirk. I'll never trust it.
That's right. I'll never.
And I never will.
Yeah, I know. Let them die.
Let them die. That's right.
They killed my son. You Klingon bastard! You killed my son.
Let me be clear. I have no problem
Fuck,
with
man.
the populace.
Who
of
didn't
Russia.
cry when
It's
Kirk
the
said that?
leadership I'm not into. So yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
Who didn't cry when Kirk said that? You Klingon bastard, you killed my son. Who had a dry eye?
I didn't. I got mad.
You're not fucking human if you didn't tear up when Kirk's son
Exactly.
Well,
fucking
you
got
told me
killed.
that several times because I'm an MP. You told me I'm not human. So I mean,
Oh yeah, you're
I got to live up to the rep, Gary.
yeah. U.S. military, U.S. Army. We refer to MPs as military pricks.
There it is.
Hey guys, we heard you're having a party. Oh fuck, it's the end of the party. Yeah, you're getting kind of loud. Some of the other guys in the other companies are kind of upset because they're not here, and so they're pissing and moaning about your noise. You got to shut it down.
Yeah, we mess up everybody's fun. That's right.
So I wanted to pause it here because this is where they're talking about infiltration of the Germans. I heard voices talking in German because they get, in fact, there's a moment in here that's real, can't spell wimp without MP. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Man,
I love it.
Really?
bummer.
Give him a video for that. That was great.
Oh,
We all love you, Joe. We all love you. You're a good soul.
I know. See, yeah, just ask Gary though. He loves the dog handlers though, because they help find people. They like the dog handlers. That's about the only ones that don't like. It's the
We like
guy
the
like
puppies,
me
man.
that's just doing his job that they don't like. Yeah.
Hold on, I want to go back to this. What did he say? I dated a Russian, well, technically a Russian Jew born in Azerbaijan, SSR. Yeah, cool. My dad's 6th Airborne were in Denmark when the Ruskies turned up. They all partied and were ordered to turn their guns on them to stop their advance. Fortunately, nothing happened. Yeah. I remember my dad was atomic artillery, and he was right there on the front line of the Cold War. And things would tense up with the Russians, man. And he's sitting there going, he would talk to the guys. They all knew it. It's like, yeah, the first volley, we're all dead. We're not going to survive this. Oh, this baseball scene was great. And this is the Germans. These guys are Germans disguised as Americans. And Van Johnson's character comments on the fact that the LT has a fucking bar painted on his helmet. And he goes, why would you do that?
Right.
And he thought it was strange. But later on, that's the payoff, because when he runs into another group of Germans disguised as Americans, that LT is with them. And that's when he knows.
This is the group.
Oh, this is the moment he spots them there. That's it. They take off running and they end up in a little battle
Crossfire.
And they end up, they couldn't show because of the censors. They weren't able to show what they did in killing these guys, because they're stabbing them, and one guy stomps the head of the German. You see him step up and he stomps. You know what he did. And so they found an artistic way of showing what they're doing by not showing what they're doing. Exactly. You can see them, you can hear them, but they don't show what they're actually doing.
Yeah,
but you know what they're fucking doing.
It was like in the fireplace in Top Secret. You just pan the camera.
Just pan the camera. This is where Ricardo Montalban's character gets hit. That's him low crawling up there. And he ends up hiding under that down Jeep and buries himself in with that little snow wall. And they wait till he's buried in, and then they head back. Now, so we'll come up here. But by God, I swear to God, I got so infuriated at how long it took them to finally go back for him. It seemed to take them for fucking ever. And by the time they do get back there, he froze to death.
That was so heartbreaking.
He loses his weapon and his helmet. in this fight. Van Johnson's character. So he helps him get up underneath this Jeep. And it was very clever.
Exactly.
He couldn't make it to the plane. It's the plane, boss.
I have
The
never
plane.
seen Fantasy Island in English.
He doesn't
No.
say D plane. He says Le plane. It's an L because he's either French,
French.
or he's
No, he was
Belgian.
French.
He was French. He was either French or Belgian. I knew that because he had a
He's
very
saying
thick
the
accent.
plane, but it sounds like he's telling you to get off the plane. The plane, the plane. Oh.
Now, a
What
lot
is
of this, I'm going to point out, the only way they could have a control over that fog was shooting at the studio in Culver City.
I was going to ask
And
where this was filmed at. The
It
outdoor
was
part.
filmed all over the U.S., including Oregon and Washington for some shots, for winter shots, where they're outside. When you see them
Pacific
actually
Northwest, okay.
outside, but because the fog was so prevalent and heavy, they decided it was easier to control that at the studio. So there's a lot of real snow in this, but they also use, thanks to another film that came out around the same time called It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life created fake snow that acted like it was real. So you'll see snow fall on them and melt. And they also had used cornflakes, paint cornflakes white. The problem was the way it crunches, it doesn't sound right. The stuff they found for that they made out of real ice and shit like that for Wonderful Life melted. So they used that shit in this film. But they also used some of the fake stuff because Van Johnson in another interview said that some of the fake snow they experiment with, that's James Arness right there. Look how young he is.
Yep. The big guy himself. Big James Arness fan. Love it. Very cool.
He was, like I said, a decorated Army soldier wounded in the Battle of Anzio. Another actor that got wounded the same way is Lee Marvin. Shot in the ass.
Seems to be a trend with great
Well,
Hollywood
it's
actors
because
get
they're
shot in
laying
the
down.
ass.
It's because they're laying down.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes your head is lower than your ass when you're laying down, especially in the military. You learn how to fucking put that head down. He got nailed in the ass, and Doohan, Jimmy Doohan, played Scotty in Star Trek.
Scotty. Mm-hmm.
He lost a finger and he lost a chunk of his ass, and that's why he limps. A lot of people don't notice that Scotty has a limp where he lifts his leg. Now, Ricardo Montalban has a pronounced limp too, but he did a Missouri Breaks film after this movie, and I think he fell off the horse and broke his part of his vertebra and his hip, and it permanently left him with a limp.
You know, horses are beautiful animals, but they will fuck you up.
Yep.
Oh.
3rd ID. Yep, that's right. 7th Infantry Regiment of the 3rd Infantry Division. Another unit that deserves the Band of Brothers treatment. You goddamn right.
Mm-hmm. Everybody knows the 3rd ID.
I keep pointing it out. I will point their patch out to Anima. I say, because you had 3 versions, and 3rd, with the 3 stripes, man, you see them all over the place. You see, like, if you watch the Big Red One, you'll see the guys in the 1st walking by guys from the 3rd in that movie. And I pointed the patch out to Anima. What are you looking for, Kip? Your discharge? Amen.
Over the place.
A lot of American blood in Europe.
Damn, 5 shots?
Wow. I didn't know it was that bad. And by people. Fuck.
Friendly fire?
Fuck friendly fire is the least friendly kind of fire there is.
No doubt.
Nothing.
This is where they finally go back after noodling around They finally go back to get him. I would have gone there and said, we need someone, help us, get him out of there, and go back for him immediately. The broken television. Yeah, I like that. I was both 29th and 6th Army. 29th ID and 6th ID.
I served in the 89th Military Police Brigade. That's what this patch is, and ForceCom when I was in the Pacific. Yeah.
Now there is, you'll see a scene where you'll see some armor in this, and I wanted to point it out when it happens, because I actually have an image here to share with everybody of what it is. So remind me when we get to that scene, Martin.
Okay. What scene is again?
You'll see that when they're talking to the guy up on top of what looks like a tank.
Oh. Oh yeah, I remember that part of the movie. Can you move this? There is no fuel. Well, we need you to fire. We have no shells. Well,
we have no
fuel.
This was the frustrating part of what happened there, is they weren't getting resupplies at all because the planes couldn't see them. So it was a fucking mess. And the only way that they could get resupplied is going back. But Division wasn't getting stuff moving very quickly. So they were fighting on fumes. Yeah, and you'll notice too that a lot of the guys have these blankets looking things wrapped around their boots, which was a common way of trying to keep their feet warm.
Couldn't imagine being where those guys were. It's just brutal.
And you can still find the foxholes there. I watched a video the other day of some Americans that went over there to find them and do a little personal, what do you call that when you pilgrimage?
Pilgrimage, yeah.
Because like I said, a lot of American blood on that fucking soil over there. Canadian, British.
Took us a while to get involved, but when we did, we were all in, no doubt.
Yeah, the only thing that pisses me off, even in the Big Red One, is their depiction of the Vichy French. Because it's one thing that's almost like a no-no to talk about them in films. It's like, we don't want to depict the French, showing that they were, some of them were with
collaborators.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite films that kind of talks about it is a little film called Casablanca.
Yeah. They always want to glorify the French resistance, but you're right. They don't
want to show that there were Frenchmen,
the other side,
even French cities, armed French citizens who shot and killed Americans on D-Day.
Yeah.
Well, they were willing to shoot their own people. So.
And then after the war, any of the women who collaborated had their hair sheared with sheep shears.
War is hell, boys and girls, civilians and the military.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen that interview with fucking Soros, where he admits to what he did during World War II.
Oh, I've seen it. Oh yeah, and he got the Medal of Freedom not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
Well, communists, man, they love him. Socialists, communists, the same thing. Yes, they were, my friend. Yes, they were.
Yep.
They didn't just collaborate, they agreed with.
They were part of the party, no doubt.
Now, I also pointed out to Anima that you'll see some points in this movie where they have the mesh net over the helmets. And there were typically two kinds of mesh net that went over the American helmets. They were there to break up the helmet, primarily. And that was to make the helmet less reflective And to also any markings that were on the helmet, you would have to be pretty close to really make them out. But Airborne had a different, wider mesh, and that came in use in Europe because they're able to put branches and shit in it.
Right.
It was World War One, right? When they
I
did
was
that.
asking
This
earlier. I
now
don't know if
these
you heard
guys,
me.
these guys are the oh fuck. I'm trying to pause it and it fucking push the movie back. Do you remember where it was?
No.
God damn it.
What do the clubs stand for on the side of their helmet? I asked you.
That's
earlier.
why I wanted to pause it. Is each one of the 101st had different card markers on their helmets. Like the guys that you see in Band of Brothers, they had the spade. These guys had the club. These were the glider guys.
Okay.
And they kind of say that in this. These weren't airborne rangers. They, as far as jumpers, these guys were inducted into the Rangers, and were there for the gliders and the gliders only. Oh wait, what's this? Yeah, well, they also ignored that in the breakout at Casino was led by French Expeditionary Corps. Clark wanted all the credit for himself. But, you know, just like you mentioned, you know, they don't ever depict that in movies. They don't want that to be seen because it makes the French look bad. And I'm like, they deserve it. They fucking earned it. I don't fucking like many of the, well, I despise Parisians for the most part because of their fucking general attitude about Americans. I told you when I was in Paris, I told the taxi cab driver the name of the hotel and where it was at. And he says, no English. I said, the name is French and the street is French. Take me there and no fucking tip. And he shut up and he drove me there. Like, you fucking prick.
Hello,
Taxi
Penny.
drivers are the worst everywhere.
Oh,
Penny. Okay, so I downloaded a video for Penny, and I'm going to be playing it here soon. Yeah, I got to edit it down because I had to download the entire like 20-minute video of interactions between Dr. Smith and Penny from Lost in Space.
Nice.
But the specific one I'm looking for is Penny, My Precious. Yeah, it's sort of like when you go up into Canada and you go to, as we call it in the military, Quebec. I met quite a few people in, you know, French Canadians who are real fucking tools. They have that same pretentious attitude, and it's just so fucking annoying. You can't be normal with them. But then I've got a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, Patrick Parenteau, who is French Canadian, and he's one of the loveliest fucking people I've ever met. Just a sweetheart. He's the guy that worked on Transformers Beast Wars. He was the lead CG artist on that series. I'm trying to get him to come on the show. I just talked to him like 2 days ago. I'm like, come on, dude. He's got a channel now. I said, come on my channel and promote your fucking channel. And we could talk about all the cool shit you've done.
Right? Promote you. One of the biggest fans of our channels is one of the sweetest French Canadians you'll ever meet, man. Christian Delorme. He's awesome.
Really?
Oh, I love Christian Delorme and his
Had
wife.
the chance to meet him and his lovely wife Mel down in New Orleans last year. It was a lot of fun. Yep.
Yeah, and they would do very well in New Orleans because there's a lot of French.
Oh, they had a ball. It was the first
when
time
you get to
they'd
the
been
French
down
Quarter,
there.
a lot of French being thrown around.
They stayed right there. They loved it. They thought it was awesome.
See, now another French person who I love, her and her husband, amazing people, Emmanuel.
By the way, we miss Regis.
Yeah, where the
Make sure
fuck
to
is your husband? What he should do is name himself Regis Philbin, but spell it like a Frenchman. It'll be funny.
Right?
Like put an accent over something.
That's it.
I'm trying to read this. I used to spend 1 to 2 months a year in France, primarily around Verdun. The French there get along well. No, out in the countryside. Oh my God, the French are delightful. Uh-oh, guess what? Uh-oh, what? Uh-oh, what? Uh-oh, what? Oh, he's in Paris.
Is he there for work
And
or what?
I have heard that even French people from the countryside dislike Parisians.
Really?
Yes. I have a friend of mine, Javier. Oh, what is his last name? God, he's part of my original Blade Runner crew from Blade Zone. Javier. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his last name. Anyway, he lives in. He inherited his family home, and it's over 350 years old. It's almost 400 years old, I think he said the last time. It's almost 400. Diabra, that's his name. Javier Diabra. And he says, "Oh, I hate going to Paris. There's such assholes."
Well, as far as I can tell, that appears to be a global phenomenon. Everybody in their country tends to look bad to their capital.
And by the way, Emmanuel, I want you to jump on the show to give me, a reaction and a review for my music. I would love to have your full review. In fact, I'd love to hear what your husband thought of it. Because Emmanuel loved it. She said it was very emotional music. We have a French Quarter here too. It's just not as much fun. I got to tell you, if you've ever been to New Orleans, it's something else. The scene with the boots. Oh my fucking God. Let's talk about that for a minute here, because he finally gets smoked permanently because he keeps taking his fucking boots off, even though he keeps being told not to. And then he keeps the boots in in his foxhole with him, but he smells them. And so he throws them over the edge of the fucking foxhole. And when he goes to reach for him later under a firefight, because he's the only one still in the foxhole, he gets smoked by the Germans. And it's heartbreaking. It's just
He calls
fucking
for his
heartbreaking.
mom as he dies.
Yeah, which is a common thing.
Yeah.
Well, most of them are only 18, 19 years old.
And I really despise critics who call out, it's so cliche that they showed that, it's like, that's because it happens a fucking lot, you dickhead, you
Right.
non-military serving motherfucker, you rear echelon cocksucker.
Right. That part in Saving Private Ryan when the medic's calling for his mother at the end when he's dying. It's just
Oh man, the critics, like, and there he is. He's too long for his fucking blanket.
damn it.
This scene where under the firefight and Van Johnson's character fucking gets so scared he bolts and begins to run. And it's because the young guy, the new guy, follows him. He comes to his senses. And he later he winks at him, but you can still tell that he was afraid he got caught. And later you find out that he did get caught, that he thought he was running and he wanted to go with him. But instead, what he ended up doing is setting up a position to flank the Germans as they approached. Here's a scene where he's got that bandolier of ammo pouches, and he can't get into them because they're frozen. And so the other guy sees he can't reload, moves up to him quickly and hands him some ammo right here. He reloads his M1, and then within a minute, he's down. He gets shot in the shoulder. It actually kind of separates his arm from his body. The skin is holding it together.
Is that a Thompson that one guy has with the pistol?
Yep.
Yeah, the officer has the Thompson. Yeah. Use your senior cadre and XOs and such. They were the ones who carried the submachine guns. Yeah. Unless you're a breaching unit, you tended to just have the M1 or were a machine gunner. And they do have a machine gunner in this unit. Because you see, I think it's Van Johnson that grabs the machine gun.
Yep.
Because the machine gunner is killed.
When they are making the run for the flanking position, the machine gunner gets down.
Gets smoked. You can say the word smoked.
That's what we call it in military, getting smoked.
Yeah.
That means somebody.
There's two meanings for it. Like
got
if
hit, or
senior
you're in
cadre,
trouble and you get penalized.
that's getting smoked too. Because
Yep.
I'll say that too. One of the many reasons I hate that fucking movie about the IED guy.
Locker.
All
Hurt
these
Locker.
civilians love the Hurt Locker. We love this movie. I went to see that with all my buddies from the military, and we were laughing, making fun of that fucking movie
Yeah.
because there's so much stupid shit going on in there.
Yeah.
And when he fucking talks back to his senior, I think he's an NCO, but he might be an officer. I'm like, that would never fucking happen in a world. He would have been smoked right there in front of everybody. He would have dropped him. Get down or you're fucking out of here. You do what I tell you to do or you're the fuck out of here.
Yep.
I'll send you to the worst place on this fucking planet.
He'd have been
They
done.
will fucking ruin your life. You talk
it.
back to somebody like that in front of others. Holy shit. That movie is so goofy. Here it is. Reaches for his fucking boots and gets smoked. And he just says, Mama. Oh, it's fucking rough. It's like they revert back to childhood as they're wounded.
Yeah. I think wouldn't that be the effect of shock on the brain there?
Yeah.
Gerry? Yeah. Shock's a motherfucker. It will take you down. The toughest guy in the world, it will take him down.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, Glenn. And here they come walking by. Also later, you will see one of the American soldiers wearing one of those white jackets that he steals off a dead German.
Genius. Pure genius.
It's either a dead German or a captured German because those that survive surrender. But they smoke the shit out of these crowds.
Well, their cold
They did
weather
such a
gear
good
had to
job
be
with that
better. I'm
fog.
sure they stripped them. Yeah. Shit.
Well, they did such a good job with the humidity and they made it cold in the studio. And that's why you can see when they're breathing, you can see mist come from their mouths, is they refrigerated the set and they made this real like snow. And it crunched and everything, and it melts when it touches their faces. I love what they did in this film. And like I said, Whitmore wanted to look like Ernie Pyle's depiction of your typical GI in Europe with the wrapped boots and his bow legs really accentuates his limp.
Yeah. Makes it look like he got balls that come in the dump truck. Balls as big as church bells.
So they got to take him back to the town of Bastogne. I mean, this just is such a, and he sees him and this is the one time you see the senior officer fucking almost lose it.
Yeah.
When he sees his little buddy dead. And then he begins quoting him later, saying the thing that he told him not to say.
Right.
That's for dang sure.
That's for dang sure. Well, that's for dang sure.
That's really sweet. It annoys the shit out of him, and then he says it to remember him.
Now you notice that German doesn't have his white jacket on. He's got the fur coat lining, the wool coat instead, and that's because I think he's the one that is it Pappy? Who I can't remember which one took the fucking coat because he's walking around in it later. Oh, absolutely! I like that movie. Now it's said that Jack Palance's fucked up looking face was because he served as a fighter pilot in Korea, and that his face got damaged, and that's how it ended up looking. But there are no photos of Jack Palance when he's young to prove it before the Korean War. No photo.
convenient.
Isn't it?
Interesting.
So there he is. He's wearing the
Very,
white.
very
See him? He's wearing
interesting.
the hooded German winter coat over his own gear.
I
love
like
that.
how
Oh yeah, with the cognac.
this one. She pours in one more, and I got myself shot.
They're out of pain medication, so this is the next best thing.
Yeah, what's so funny is she pours the cognac, and the guy thinks it's for him, and she turns around
Merci
and walks.
beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Oh, it's not for me. And here's where you really see him. He's wearing the German stuff, including the German pants.
Why not? If it's better than the gear you got.
Now, this is a good moment, Tom. Thank you for bringing up his name. Wellman, the director for this film, was the perfect fucking director for this movie. He served in World War I and was an ace pilot, combat pilot, shot down. In fact, he was the one who made the movie Wings that won the Oscar. And he not only was the director of that film, but he was the one who taught the actors how to fly. The actors had to be able to fly to be in that film, and he trained them. He went up with them and did dogfights to show them how things were done. He even showed them how to crash land the plane.
Is Wings the one with the famous dogfighting scenes of the
Yes.
biplanes? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Genius. Yeah.
So Wellman understood what it was like to lose friends in combat. And so he's the director of this film. And he's the one who came up with the idea to do something that was so impressive, is that he actually hired a technical advisor for the film. And it was, Lieutenant Colonel Nimitz, was that it? I think that was the name. I'll go look it up real quick. Hold on.
Is that the one from 1927?
Yeah. He directed that film and flew in it too. Technical advisor, where are you? There it is. Lieutenant Colonel Harry Kennard. That's who it was. Infantry. He served in this battle. So he was the technical advisor for the film. And then they hired 21 members of the 101st Airborne to play extras in the background and to help with the technical stuff in the film. In fact, this set caused them to have episodes from PTSD because it was so much like the real thing. They would have flashbacks and shit while making the film. Yes, he did Call of the Wild. That's right, with Clark Gable. And who else? Because someone else in this movie is in that. There's another person that's in this film that's in that movie. I forget who it is. This is one of my favorite scenes. This really happened. Even though this is a fictional group of the 101st, they kept a bunch of true shit in here, so it's very truthful. The film was very factual, but it was a work of fiction. However, this scene is true and happened pretty much exactly the way they depict it. I love the way the Americans are blowing smoke rings into these Germans' faces, and finally the German goes, "I will talk. Give me some cigarettes." Cigaretten.
They are being assholes.
Blowing smoke rings in their face. It's fucking funny because they don't like them. They don't like them. We've been fucking being killed by you guys, and we're killing you. Yeah. And so what they're there for is to get a unilateral decision of the Americans to surrender. And they're like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? And the general who reacted to that said, nuts. And so this is the scene where the generals I forget what it's called. Adjutant.
Adjutant.
That's it. It's a word that just does not stick in my fucking head.
Yeah.
Weird word. So I'm going to go ahead and play this scene because I got the clip. And I'm not too worried about getting claimed on this because I bet you money we don't get claimed.
An older movie.
I'd be glad to repeat it. The answer is nuts. Nüsse. Ist das im negativen oder positiven Sinn?
Is that a negative or an affirmative reply?
Nuts is strictly negative.
Negative.
And because Joe said the movie is so old, we won't get claimed. That one website that we used to watch stuff, it had YouTube links on it, and both of them had been claimed.
Yeah. So we'll see. There's no music in that scene. There's no music in this movie, by the way.
Well, the best soundtrack for a war film
at the beginning and at the
battle
end
itself.
is the only music, because that's what he wanted. Veterans wanted the sound of war to be the soundtrack, and it was. This movie did not need any music.
All the sounds of nature. It's great.
I had a
There's
question
nothing
for you, Gary. You mentioned that biplane movie that that guy
Wings
had a part in, Wings. Have you ever seen the one? I'm a huge Howard Hughes fan. Have you ever seen the one that, Hell's Angels that he produced and directed?
Yeah.
It had some pretty cool aerial dog fights in it too.
Great aerial dog fights in it, yeah. And the way he looks, like his head moves backwards, like what? They're like nuts. And the censors didn't want them to say it, so they kept trying to find a different way of saying it, and there was no other way of saying it. So that they just said it in the movie, nuts. And they're like, let the chips fall where they may.
That's it. I just think it's funny that Colonel's helmet, the way it's on sideways, I keep wanting to call him Audie Murphy. Every time I see a guy with his helmet on like that, I'm thinking Audie Murphy.
Yeah, he retired, I think, mid Vietnam War, as I recall, right?
Oh, I don't know. But anytime I see somebody's helmet on, cockeyed instead of straight, I always think of Audie Murphy every time. Because that was
I love the movie The Public Enemy. You got the epaulets right for a major, though the uniform is a bit too remph. That's rear echelon, motherfucker.
That's right. In the rear with the gear.
Yeah, I love this, the way he works the verse into what they're going through by adding stuff from what they're going through. And I'm hoping we didn't miss the scene when I had to put us back of the armor scene, because that tank scene is really cool. Where it's like, can't you move over there? We're out of gas. Well, maybe you turn your turret and fire. He goes, we're out of ammo. We're just a big metal hunk of something sitting here.
We're just a big paperweight waiting to get shot at.
I also love the scenes of letters from home shit and the newspaper, because their XO was a journalist before the war. Oh, spits on that flyer that got dropped.
Right.
And I like they show that the flyers. It's like they first get there and flyers are being dropped on them.
Yeah.
And the airplane you hear is a dive bomber. That's the Stuka. It was the plane designed to make that sound. And they'll use it with other planes in other movies. The other planes don't make that noise.
No, they don't.
The only plane that made that noise was the Stuka.
Psychological warfare.
It was psychological warfare. It was designed to make that noise to scare the shit out of everybody. Now, here he is. This is a great actor right here. And like, should we be here? Is it wrong that we're here? This is a great discussion. Because despite all the bitching, now that black guy right there was in the actual black regiment.
Wow.
And they put him in the film. And as I recall, he's the one who taught them how to do the drill and ceremony marching.
See, even in the 1940s, there was representation in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, they had black troops there. And a lot of people get confused. They think he's part of the 101st. I'm like, no, he was another regiment. They had 3 regiments there of black soldiers, or three units in that area. And so, yeah, there were black soldiers that served and fought in that fucking battle.
Oh, yeah.
All the problem is all of those airborne ranger black soldiers didn't get any combat. They were held back.
We've seen the black soldiers in Masters of the Air when they finally get them out of the camp.
Well, they also show the red tips. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They show those guys. They've
Didn't
made
they make
two
a movie
movies
about them recently? I think
two movies. They made one back in the 90s, and they made one in the mid 2010s. I think it was 2015. Not a very good film. It's a terrible film.
Yeah.
Both films, I think, are pretty bad. I don't think they're very good.
What's the one with Glenn Powell?
The best representation of those guys was in the series that we watched. Dan, I just forgot the name of the
Masters of the Air. She just
Masters of
mentioned
the
it.
Air.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the best. If you want to see those guys and how they fought, that's the one to watch. If you
James
think you're
Whitmore,
a sucker
man.
to fight in
just-
a war against fascism, well, he's the real deal, man.
Yeah, he's
So, a
iconic,
lot of these
man.
guys were.
He's iconic.
Oh, Devotion is a movie that you were asking for.
I was wondering what the one that Glenn Powell was in. Yeah, that's it.
Now I want to see that movie because I understand it's fairly accurate about their relationship,
I heard it's good. Yeah.
and that he actually did intentionally ground his plane to go basically down. Here's the scene right here. I kept looking at this going, and I might have to rely on 11 Alpha. I'm not sure because that's not a Sherman. I'm like, wait a minute. I bet that's a tank destroyer. And so I went and looked it up, and that's exactly what it is. And so I'll go ahead and show it to you real quick here. Can you pause it, Martin?
Yes, done.
This is the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Hellcat. It's the M18. I think M18 Hellcat is its designation. I think. Am I not correct? 11 Alpha, but that's that baby right there. Nice,
cool.
Nice fucking vehicle. And Anima asked me a
Oh.
great question. She goes, "What's the cages on the front?" I said, "Those are actually headlamps, and those are to protect the headlamps."
Look
Yep.
at the base of the cannon. It had smoked 2 German tanks. Can you
Okay.
see the
You and I
marking?
have two different meanings of the word base. Base means bottom, not back. So I'm like,
Oh.
I'm looking down near the treads and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No.
Tracks,
Well,
the wheels,
in the
and I'm like,
cannon.
oh,
On the
in the
cannon.
back. Yeah, I
You have
see it
to-
on the base of the cannon itself.
It's towards the
By the
cowl.
way, they
Yeah.
had, I think, 3 versions of the Sherman tank during World War II. And what they did is the main problem with the first Sherman was the cannon on it was too fucking small. And what they did is they upgraded the armament on the Sherman. And they also angled it a little bit more. There's a little bit of more of a mechanical looking angle on the later Sherman tanks. Oh, wait, put that back up. I was reading it. There's on several old tanks on display when you enter the town. Neat. Well, this is actually not a tank. This is a tank destroyer. Its primary function is to fight against the Panzer Division, to go up against
Okay.
Tiger 2s. And I don't think in 43 they had the Panther yet. I think that was
What
closer
makes
to
that
D-Day.
distinction? Because it looks like a tank with the rotating turret.
It has a specific anti-armor cannon. That's a fucking beast of a cannon on that thing. It is designed specifically for armor piercing. Also mounted on there is an armor piercing 50 caliber. Because once again, I want to point out that Audie Murphy murdered all those Germans with breaking the rules of the NATO and
broke a lot of
Geneva
rules in
Convention
the,
using anti-armor rounds to
on
kill
human beings.
250 Germans.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the back of one of these motherfuckers right here. This is what he was on the back of. a tank destroyer.
But, you know, who can blame
Was
him?
it? Wait a minute. Was Audie Murphy on the M10 or the M18 Alpha?
M10s were more common, but M18s did serve at Bastogne.
And I want to point out, too, not only did they have a military advisor, he was an active member of the U.S. military, and the U.S. Army lent them equipment and gear for this film. So this was an important film. Yeah, the top of the turret is open.
Oh, here's where the Germans are bombing the city or the town.
Yep. And they show that in Band of Brothers, too.
Yeah, Bastogne and Eindhoven. They showed both bombardments.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need an early out. You guys take care and enjoy. I will see you.
All right, brother.
I will see you next
See
Monday.
you around, my friend.
Be good.
See you, Joe.
Hasta.
Yeah.
If you can't be good, be better.
God, that sounds like the stuff my company is putting on all the walls to motivate.
I love
us.
these
It's a lot of
anti-aircraft
bullshit.
guns. I thought for a film shot in 1948 to 49, they did a tremendous job.
They did. It's amazing.
Sorry if you could hear that in the background. Don Ecker is trying to call me right now. I have to tell him I'm in the middle of a show.
Well, not in the middle, but he should know that you are on at this time.
He knows that.
Don
He
has
doesn't
no
care.
limit.
Yeah. He's the only one allowed to call Gerry on big
Don
time.
is on Don time.
Yep.
That too. Is he doing a show tonight? Is he back?
I think he just got power restored on during the
I
weekend.
know. I know. They got power and water back.
Same for the chief. I totally forgot that chief was in in LA.
Oh.
Yes, we're not having a show this tomorrow because he couldn't prepare one. Fortunately, he's got all his services back and everything's okay. They're still on evacuation alert, but everything
nightmare.
is looking good. Oh yes, man, this is awesome. This is awful.
I mean, I lived in wildfire territory for 5 years
No,
down there in Croatia.
when he
But
walked
whenever
off
it
this
burns,
hill.
they are just so much better.
All right, I'm going to pause it so I can talk.
Sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to talk about the scene. So, this is coming to that big moment. But they're fixing bayonets. And this means shit's about to get real. But look how bow-legged he is here. I love his fucking legs. By the way, he did two things I saw him on stage for, James Whitmore. I saw him play Harry Truman and Give Him Hell, Harry. I saw him at the Ford's Theater. But a few years before that, I saw him at Ford's Theater playing, oh my God, I just forgot it was the Will Rogers. He played Will Rogers on stage too, the great comedian. And he is shaking in this scene when that sun comes out. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play my clip. So if you don't mind, Martin, would you pause it?
Yes, I will. Ready?
And he delivered a line, by the way, that he wasn't scripted to say, but they kept it in because they liked it so much.
It's shining! It's shining!
And here comes the
I love
plane.
that. You see that Thompson in his fucking hand starts shaking. And I just fucking love that moment. And the smiles on all their faces, because, you know, all I'm thinking is, oh, great, now we get to kill them in the sun.
Dude,
I got bad news.
interesting.
The show is canceled tonight.
Oh,
Don's about to lose power again.
Oh fuck.
damn. That's not good. Dude, 11
Damn,
Alpha is
we're going to
making
be
the
talking about the X-Files too tonight.
11 Alpha is making the question, and I answered on chat, but I don't see it here. So we and I use asterisks to mask the word, and it's not going up. The censorship shit is. And here's your answer.
Well, what?
Orymorphis Medal of Honor action was with an N10.
There you go. Okay, very good. The Spirit of the Bayonet. That was. Oh man, I know it deals with Major Campbell, and I can't remember. Was it a poem or something? I remember that because of my dad. But I remember at least the name. I remember the name Major Campbell. And it comes from the First World War. How did Audi become a big movie star?
I think it
He
was
just went to Hollywood.
because of
He
the
was
book.
already acting in films. I think the book made him a celebrity. Yeah, absolutely. And he had a nice little career working in Westerns. But when they started to make the movie, they weren't sure who should play him. And they approached him, and he didn't want to play himself. He felt he was too old. The guy still looked like a kid
Yeah, he absolutely has
when he
baby
played
face.
himself.
He also felt awkward playing himself, but he was the best choice.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
can
I
understand
know.
it.
Autocorrect.
It may have feel that it was like too self-serving.
Yeah.
So this is really kind of cool here because the fog finally cleared. They were able to run strafing and bombing missions, and they could finally drop supplies.
And they're like children on Christmas Day.
Put that back up. Put that back up.
Sorry.
I want to read these out loud. The will to meet and destroy the enemy in hand-to-hand combat is the spirit of the bayonet. I knew that. But was I correct on the name? I remember the name Major Campbell and the spirit of the bayonet. So now we see all this gear getting dropped to him. This is great. And then you also see men jumping in. That's reinforcements.
I can't even imagine the relief they must have felt.
To finally have relief. Yeah. And
Oh,
because
yeah,
they, like I said,
disappointment
they
with
had,
the spam. That
they
was
had
funny
a,
as fuck.
yeah, it's spam. Fucking spam. Oh, and fucking K-Rats. All dinners.
All dinner. Well, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, let's see. There's the chaplain again making his return. And one of the things I loved was that we still had quite a few of the guys from Band of Brothers still alive, the original guys that did interviews, and they would talk about what it was like to fight in Bastogne. This is almost like a montage. We need a montage. Thompson is a hell of a weapon, but god damn, it's heavy. There was a film that was made in the 50s, a World War II film. I forget the name of it right now, but I'll go look it up later. Where the lead actor wanted to carry fucking Thompson, man. Give me that Thompson. And he got one, and it was loaded with blanks. And so it had the full weight of pretty much what a Thompson would be like. And he very quickly was like, I don't want to carry this. Give me something else. It's way too heavy. This is great shit. They're sitting there on the side of the road. Guys are driving by, throw him a cigar so the sergeant can fucking bite a chunk off and chew on it. So he fucking likes chewing tobacco.
That armor division that is
baby.
that is getting into, those must be Patton's tank, right?
Yeah, it's third, his division. So just to let you know something interesting is they show the new guy. He's never smoked before. And so the guy hands him a cigarette and he takes a puff. And the camera goes out of focus on him for a moment. And then when it goes back into focus, he's got a look of like, what the fuck did I just take into my lungs? And because that's an impact that actually hits you the first time you ever smoke. There's like this massive rush that hits you. It's what leads to the wanting to smoke more. It's like caffeine, man. I'm that way with caffeine. Arnhem was rough, man, on the Brits.
Yeah, Rocket Kitty woke up.
So this is that scene where he gets the news and he tells them, form up. And they all line up to go back to Bastogne.
Then they are all cursing their luck.
Then he tells them all to about face.
Right.
And then he smiles at him and he lets them know we're heading back. We're heading back to the rear. And then you see some fresh troops coming up marching. And he tells them, straighten up, look smart. Don't let these fucking new guys look better than you.
Man, he looks a lot like.
And was that Arness? Can we go back there for a second? I'll skip it back. Hold on. Because I think that was Arness with the cigarette hanging out. He's always the tall guy. And I thought for some reason his character got killed. Look at those bow legs, man. Jesus Christ. Fucking Whitmore.
I can't believe it gets that bad just from riding horses.
The taller guy there with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Mm.
That's
the new
I don't
guy.
think that's Arness. Is that the new guy? Oh, I guess
No,
that's smoking.
No, that's the other. I can't remember.
But it's not Arness, is what I'm saying. Because I don't think he's quite tall enough. But I thought at first that might be Arness. And like, oh, did his character strike? Because I thought he died. About face. There he does. He gives the fucking order. And of course, guy's reading his newspaper from back home. I love this ending. Because they were like, oh man, they're putting us back on the front. Didn't we just leave this party? He's still reading the paper while marching.
Because the column is written by his wife.
It is on our list, Tom.
Attack might be the film I'm thinking about, where the one actor got offered the Thompson. I want that Thompson, he said. And then he carried it for a day and he goes, I don't want the Thompson. He was dog tired by the end of the day.
11 Alpha mentioned earlier in chat, he was asking us to finally discuss this movie. So I went and it's on the list and I highlighted it now. So I'm on it.
Tell us how you really
And they
feel,
start
Tom.
doing Jody, and he does it, and he does the Jody cadence wrong. He repeats a verse twice because the whole thing is Jody, you know, your baby was there when you left, you're right. Jody was there when you left, you're right. Now they're there all alone and you're just out of luck, you're right. Sound off. And they did it wrong here at the end. Now, I wasn't sure why. Because I know that they had a morals problem with certain dialogue and stuff that had to alter things. I'm like, that's kind of weird to alter that. Because the military tries to ingrain something in you when you're in training, which is don't think about your girl back home. Stop thinking about that. We need to train you. We need to tear you down to build you back up as a soldier. And so they constantly beat into your head that your girl's banging somebody else anyway. Seriously, it's in a lot of the cadences. And a lot of the shit they would say to you, this senior drill instructors, fucking all the time, man. It's like, hey, who's that buddy of yours that was good friends with your girlfriend? He's got her. He's nailed her. That fucking shit gets to you. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Not Jean-Claude. Effing Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
My dad was at Merville on the morning of D-Day. He jumped with the Poles in the south side of the river. Can't remember if I got a chance to meet a Red Devil at Arnhem. Yeah, Gene Hackman played one of the commanders in Bridge Too Far, a film that we will do on here. I love that movie. It's so long in the tooth, but it is a great film and has some, oh my God, some great moments in it. My favorite scene in that film, and I will have a clip of it, is Anthony Hopkins on the roof of that house where everybody's wounded in there. Everybody's fucking injured. He's standing on the roof and he's got his XO with him, you know, and they're looking down. This German walks up with a white flag and he says, "My general would like to discuss your options for surrender," you know. And Hopkins says, "Tell him to go to hell." And his XO leans over. He goes, "Sorry, but we don't have the facilities to take you prisoner. Was there anything else?" Oh my God, that fucking scene. I love that movie. My dad said the big flaw of that film was too many big names, where they should have shot the film with lesser known actors. But they wanted to have that star power for this movie to sell. And I saw that movie, by the way, Glenn. I saw that movie off of Trafalgar Square. There was a little cinema there. And I saw that movie, The Bridge Too Far, in London. If I die in the old drop zone, box me up and ship me home. If I die on the Russian front, bury me in Russian. Yeah. Oh, it's true. But hellacious fighters. That's why the Brits and Americans like training together. SAS and our tip of the spear guys here in the US. You'll see them. And I tell people all the time, the best special forces, it's not because I'm Army, the best special force in the United States is 75th Ranger Battalion, which is also known as Delta, who were trained by SAS, because SAS were the best, and I still consider the best special forces in the world. And they talk shit about each other all the time, but boy, when they get together, they have a good time, and they fight well together. Although there was a funny story I heard where one of the Delta Force guys yells down to an SAS operator. He says, hey, no grenades. There's munitions up here. No grenades. And the guy says, grenades out. And he throws the grenades, and they're like, oh, fuck. Because there was a miscommunication in how they spoke and understanding sometimes. Yeah, it was the problem with The Longest Day. I agree. I think war films should be lesser known actors or unknown actors. I mean, Sean Connery was nobody when he made that, when he was in that. Yeah, and by the way, once Anima gets caught up, we are going to do a show dedicated to season 1 and then season 2 of SAS Rogue Heroes. Because I enjoy the shit out of that show. Yeah, I call bullshit now and again.
Season 1.
Yeah, SAS are the dog's balls.
I think I've only seen 3 episodes so far.
Yeah, the tier 1 operators in particular. Yeah. It's like people don't understand what the tiers are. And the funny thing is, like, no matter how far down you go with the tiers in the numbers, they're still really fucking good. They're still top tiers. But the top tier is tier 1. And tier 1 are the guys that go up against global terrorism and all that shit. They're the ones that are out there operating pretty much 24/7. And a buddy of mine said that. He says, those guys are constantly operating. He says, it's nonstop. You have no idea shit going on in the Far East and Near East all the time with these guys. People don't know that we've been at war with the Moros since the late 1800s. Always having problems with the Moros. You guys know who the Moros is, right?
Nope.
The Moros. They're the Muslims in the Philippines, the islands. We've been at war with them for a long time.
I didn't know
Our war with Islam began with Tripoli, and it's been going pretty steadily since.
Damn.
Well, that's it. We're going to wrap this shit up. It was good talking to you guys. I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. This is a great film. If you've never seen it, you should watch it. Again, I want to point out so many smart things were done with this movie, from the training to having a bunch of military advisors on it. A lot of accuracy in how things were done. The language, they tried their best to get the language in there, but they had to G it up. Not PG, but G it up, because everything had to be rated G. So they couldn't say certain things. Nuts. It was a miracle that got put in the film.
Such a fun scene, though. I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, exactly. That's who I was talking about right there. We've been in conflict with them for a long time. The 1911 .45 pistol came into existence because of them, because they would jump out of trees with machetes in their hands, tied into their hands as they jumped out. So they would fall, and a soldier might be able to shoot them as they're coming down with their pistols, because they carried Webleys and shit like that. But they would still fall on them, and they often would severely wound or kill the soldier they fell on with that machete. So it was finally decided we need a round that will flip them. And in come the 45. Was he? I thought it was before he played it.
Longest Day is from 62.
And when did they do From Russia with Love? Or did they? Yeah, they did From Russia with Love first.
No, From Russia with Love is 63.
So that was the first one. So yeah. So no, it was before he played Bond. He may have been cast. He may very well have been cast, but he was still, other than Darby O'Gill and the Little People, nobody knew who the fuck Sean Connery was. And I think it's kind of cool because he and the other Brit in that are kind of R2-D2 and C-3PO.
What?
Yeah. If you watch the movie The Longest Day, look at their characters as they're kind of the Greek chorus. They're there for they're also there for the chuckles because they're funny. Well, yeah, because it's usually the year before, but I don't think that there was a big blitz on him. So when he was released in this film, in this movie, because it came out in 62, nobody knew that yet. That's what I'm saying, Glenn. I'm not arguing the point that he wasn't already cast or hired or what have you. I'm just saying that he didn't have the star power when this movie came out. Wait a minute. So, Dr. No came out first. So it would have been shot in 61. So, yeah, okay. All right. Fucking limeys and their arguments. Let them have it.
Prick.
What?
I called you a prick. Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody for being here. We've had a good moderate audience today. Yeah, there you go. I love Oliver Reed, man. He was a drinker. I want to thank, of course, our good buddy Glenn Fleming for being here, Emmanuel, 11 Alpha, Andy Morrow, Tree of Rock Creations, Penny, and Tom Baker for being in the chat. The rest of you that are watching the show on Twitter and on YouTube and Rumble, thanks for watching the show. We deeply appreciate it. Put that back up. I didn't read that. John Wayne was the most miscast. Oh, he was terrible. I don't want to go into it. That was infuriating to see that. So that's the end of the show, guys. We're going to end it now. Everybody have a great Monday. I'm sorry to say we will not have a show tonight on KGRA because Don's about to lose power. He may have already lost it because he hasn't responded to my last message. So, yeah, man, there you go. But what, Brian?
That's it. Show's over.
Well, that's it, guys. Brian said it, so we got to go. Everybody have a great Monday. Have a great week. And we will see you. Well, we will see you again on Wednesday. So, but you'll see the Chief tomorrow. Or is the Chief doing a show tomorrow? I don't know.
No, Martin just said that.
So the next time you see us, it'll be on Wednesday. So we'll be talking to you guys. What do we do on Wednesday?
Hamlet with Mel Gibson.
Ooh, Mel Gibson's Hamlet. Oh, yes. Nom, 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 nom. That's Franco Zeffirelli's. Franco Zeffirelli's Hamlet. Yes. All right. Everybody have a great day. See y'all later. Bye.